Lamar Hunt is unquestionably one of the most successful sports entrepreneurs in the world. Today, as founder and owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, founding investor of the six-time world champion Chicago Bulls, investor in the Kansas City Wizards and the Columbus Crew, he shares with us his knowledge, expertise, and perspectives on business ownership. Mr. Hunt takes us from his early years and those first attempts at business ownership to his present-day success. Mr. Hunt talks candidly about his own business failures, his heroes, and today's opportunities. Even more surprising is that Mr. Hunt has been inducted into the United States Soccer Hall of Fame and the International Tennis Hall of Fame. He also coined the term Super Bowl. Mr. Hunt has certainly had his share of success, but he will be the first to admit that he experienced many failures along the way. Mr. Hunt shares with us his earliest attempt at business ownership. He discusses the pitfalls of owning a business and points out that there are benefits to failure.
My recollection of my first attempt, I was in college at Southern Methodist University, and I had seen a baseball batting range. That's a machine where you put a quarter in and you get 10 pitches thrown to you by a mechanical arm. And with a couple of schoolmates of mine, we invested and built a baseball batting range called Zimabat. That's Z-I-M-A-B-A-T, and we didn't patent the name. I don't know what's ever happened to that name. But that business did reasonably well for a while. We tried to expand it into some other things that, such as miniature golf and a watermelon stand, and those things were happening in my junior or senior year in college, and ultimately we didn't manage it very well, and it ultimately went out of business.
When asked about the key ingredients and common denominators for business success, Mr. Hunt had this to say.
Well, I think a businessman or an entrepreneur, I think he needs to have some vision. I think he needs to have a sales mentality, because regardless of whether you're selling hot dogs or football tickets or violins, I mean, you need to be able to sell your product and be enthusiastic about it.
Don Schmidt and MAI Squared are obviously doing something right. Among an impressive list of clients are the Rolling Stones, the National Hockey League, the National Football League, Sprint, NCAA, and many others. As a lifetime entrepreneur, Don got his start in music, a background which came in handy when dealing with the Rolling Stones. Don started playing music when he was 10 years old, professionally when he was 17, and on the road full-time when he was 19. His creative skills expanded to designing posters for other bands and musical groups. This side business soon became very profitable, more so than he ever imagined. This immediate success propelled him further into the digital design and internet business. The rest, as they say, is history. From the looks of things, they will be making small business history for some time to come. Don shares with us his feelings of nervousness, anticipation, and triumph as he worked on the Rolling Stones' Bridges to Babylon tour website and the first ever online voting during a live concert.
What we did with the Stones in terms of a webcast is we would actually, a webcast as opposed to broadcasting, is we had cameras, the same cameras that they had at the show that would put the musicians up on screen, on the big screens behind the show. That would actually be fed out onto the internet. So if you went to the Stones website, you would be able to go to a section of the website and see an actual live broadcast, or actually webcast, on your PC of the Stones from wherever they were in the world that night. This wasn't anything that was on television. It was the only way you could actually see the Stones live every night of the tour.
Beginning of the day was 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. They got us up and we went to breakfast, and immediately after breakfast we went to the briefing room, and at that time is when we found out what our target for the day was.
Ludwigshafen, there were groans all over the briefing room that day. Oh. Nobody was happy about going to Ludwigshafen.
We all were a little shook up because they told us how many 88s could bear on us and how many gun stations they had and how many aircraft were in the vicinity that could attack us, and we knew that it was going to be a long, hard day.
We could have anticipated some real nasty flak that day. Nobody was expecting too much from fighter cover anymore because the Luftwaffe fighters were pretty well beaten out for a while. But flak batteries were very strong and very powerful. It was one of those missions that the 446 had been to Ludwigshafen many times before and after that one single day. There's really nothing special about that one day that we went on because the history shows that the 446 itself had bombed Ludwigshafen several times, and that would mean IG Farben. And I'm sure many of the other groups went through IG Farben many times before and after.
When they pulled the airplane out and leveled it off, the fire went out. And then Schaefer kept asking for a heading. They kept asking Phillips for a heading.
We pulled out of the dive and turned west, or at least we were heading west anyway, lucky enough that way, and continued on the westward course.
We kept getting lower and lower. We kept losing more altitude, and they were trying to get another engine started.
And we had 2 engines going, and just as the second engine kicked over proper, the second flak came up at us from Saarbrücken. And we were at 3,000 feet. We were point blank range. So there was no challenge to the gunners anymore.
Some of the flak started to burst near us, and Schaefer said, well, don't ride it in, let's bail out. And gave the orders to bail out, and everybody started to bail out.
The order came to bail out, and that's what we did, we bailed out.
The guys went out the back, and somebody went out ahead of me in the front. And I think Maxwell went right down with the Phillips in the lower section of the airplane.
How am I going to get out of this thing alive? That's all. And I'm not even sure I was thinking of that. I just making sure that I pulled my ripcord at the right time. And
so we're watching him float to the bank. In just a couple of minutes, another little group, probably 5, come in. And I told him, shoot when you're ready. Shoot the one in the front, because I'm gonna get the one in the back. And when he shot, he missed. The one I was about to shoot climbed, and I shot his feet. So he's crippling up. And before I could get back on him, Al swung on him and killed him, and he dropped right there in the decoys. And I could see a band from here. And I just couldn't believe it. I said, Al, that bird's banded. And he wears glasses, and he's squinting and looking. And I said, you ain't gotta look, he's banded, I can see it from here. First thought I had, you know I hit that bird, right? I said, I know you killed him, but I hit him. I shot his feet. Actually, there's a piece of steel shut right there where I shot his feet. By then, number 10 had floated to the bank, so I walked up and picked up the banded one. Walked there and picked up number 10, and B-dog, if it wasn't banded. One on the left leg, one on the right leg. I don't know if you'd ever see that happen again. 2 in a row. Mine, the one I claim, was banded in just north of Yellowknife, Northern Territory in Canada. That's about 50 miles from Santa Claus's house. And it was banned on August 10th, 99. Al got his certificate back, and it was banned on August 12th of 99, 2 days apart, about 900 miles south in Saskatchewan. So I put the old protractor on the map, and best I can figure, they flew about 2,300 miles to get shot in the head right here in Texas.